Hello from the Clio Cloud Conference 2016 in Chicago, Illinois. I'm Patrick Pallas and
Samantha Collier.
And we're on the road with the Legal Talk Network. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the road. It's a pleasure to be here. Today we're talking about social media strategies for law firms. I'm here with,
Samantha.
wait for it, Samantha Collier. She's a legal professional turned social media strategist in Vancouver, Canada. Samantha is a regular speaker and is the author of the award-winning blog, Social Media for Law Firms. She won the 2011 Canadian Law Blogging Award, the CLAWB. She works with lawyers across North America and focuses on using social media to attract clients and improve a law firm's bottom line. So, Samantha, a little side note, right? So, I've known you for a while on Twitter, and we've talked back and forth. And in fact, over the course of the last day or so, I've said, are you here, Sam? Are you here?
Yeah.
We have to talk. You're like, I'm here. And we've gone like 3 different rooms together, and I haven't seen you yet. And so I reach out to Law Talk, Legal Talk Network, and they say, oh, you know what? I'll introduce you to Sam. Tell you what, why don't you interview her? I said, perfect. So you know what, Samantha Collier, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Face to face.
I know, it's nice. That's the good thing about this conference, is you get to meet people that you've been tweeting with.
It somehow seems appropriate that since you are in social media, that we would actually meet in social media and then later in person in an event like this, right?
Yep.
I think that means you're doing your job
Hopefully.
the way you should. So let's talk about social media for a few minutes. So it's important for lawyers to have an online presence in this day and age, but tell me why.
It's important because if they're not using social media, they're going to be left behind, and it's important because there's something that jumps out to me, and it's reputation. Tons of lawyers think that if they use social media, that they won't control it. But what they don't realize is that if they don't control it, somebody else is. And that can be scary because it can be your competitors. And if you take Facebook, for example, lawyers don't know that even if they haven't created a page, there's a page for them. And it's like a Facebook community page, and they don't control anything on there. So a lot of lawyers won't use it because they're kind of scared of the brand new. But if they don't use it, they're not going to get clients. They're not going to get millennial clients. They're just going to be left in the dust.
Now, there's a lot of platforms out there, and maybe lawyers know some like Facebook, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of platforms. So as you are helping your clients figure out what's best for them, what sort of platforms do you look at? What sort of platforms do you recommend for lawyers?
Yeah, so most lawyers will say LinkedIn. And I agree, LinkedIn's good, but it's mostly good for referrals. Usually their direct clients aren't on there. It's like lawyers they went to school with, and it's like referral based. Facebook, absolutely. 62% of the adult population is on Facebook globally. I'm pretty sure it's a higher number. It's a higher number, just in Canada or the US. Twitter, absolutely. And I actually think that Snapchat, Instagram, even Instagram stories are great. They're really good to actually share your personality as long as you're not boring. Now,
maybe this is my bias as a man who has a teenage daughter, but I think Snapchat, girls in 6th grade talking back and forth. Is it gone beyond that? Is Snapchat now being used by adults in a place to get clients?
Oh, yeah. There's a lawyer, and his name is Mitch Jackson, and he is probably one of the most famous lawyers online, which is interesting because I didn't really know him until before Blab.
Right.
And Blab is a social network. Well, it's dead now, but it was a site, sort of like a chat site. And he uses it like crazy. He uses it to share causes. So he's big on not driving distracted. And I know for a fact he's gotten work through it. But I think it's how you use it. Obviously, you're not going to share naked pictures like what it's known for unless you are attracting that type or, I don't know. I hope so. Right. Be interesting, but no. But they get work. It's how you use it. I think it's important to learn the ins and outs. I mean, you're not going to post selfies, and I do, but...
So I was in a conference, and there was a woman talking about how to brand yourself and how to use social media. And a woman raised her hand and said, there's nothing about me that I know how to brand or what to do. And so the speaker says, well, tell me just something about yourself. She said, well, I love Harleys and I have a pink one. Awesome. And so the presenter points at her and says, there you go, pinkharleys.com. Next.
Yeah.
Right? So from that is the idea of branding your weird. And I know some people do that, but so here's my question to you. Is that a good strategy
Yes.
for lawyers?
Yes.
And how does that work?
I think that the way that works is that people connect with you. Like, I know a lawyer, IP lawyer, and she's a bio lawyer, and she loves Cocker Spaniels.
Right.
Right? And she's gotten work from that, right? And I mean, she's got like big clients through her passion for Cocker Spaniels, right? So I find that the more personal you are, the better it is. Like, for example, my husband passed away like 8 years ago. You might know this from seeing my stuff because I talk about everything. But I've met other people that have gone through the same thing. And I mean, that's like really personal. And it took me a long time to actually share that because I was worried, about how I might be perceived, but it works. And I find that the more you talk about stuff like that, the better you do. No one wants to talk to like a vanilla lawyer.
Well, I noticed in your Twitter feed when you're putting things out, you talk about things that are special to you that other people can relate to, right? You love talking about coffee and your love affair with coffee. You put on pictures of your daughter and you guys were coming here, right? You had pictures of your daughter.
Yes.
I mean,
everyone knows that.
It was a no-brainer. So you really opened that door and let people get a peek inside. And I think you were saying in your presentation here at the Clio conference about authenticity.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Why is that critical, and how do you use that?
Yeah. To me, it just makes sense that. I mean, authenticity is a word that social media specialists throw around almost like a swear word. It's like passionate, authentic, etc. But no one on social media wants to talk to a boring person. Like, nobody wants to talk to a logo, right? They want to talk to you. And the social media community is so picky about picking out people that are fake. Like picking out, they don't want to talk to anyone that's fake. How are they going to trust you with their case if you're just blah, 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 blah? Like, if you're not authentic, you're not going to do well. Like, I share everything. I play World of Warcraft, right? Like, I'm a level 60, like, night elf, and people connect with that. And I actually have done well by not being afraid. It took me a while, but if lawyers can actually, do that from the beginning, they're going to do so much better.
Now, there's this discussion about the right ways and the wrong ways to do social media and marketing as a whole, right? And so one of the discussions I've heard back and forth is when you're putting information out about your law firm, about you, whether it's best for inbound or outbound marketing, right? You're out blabbing about, I'm so great, I'm so wonderful, or do you turn that around and say, here's some things that I can offer you that will help you, no charge or free, whatever.
Yeah.
So talk about that kind of dynamic about how you advise lawyers about that approach.
Yeah. What you said, the second part about giving information away, it's a must. I mean, if you're promoting, there's like the 80-20 rule. I think it's more like a 95-5 rule, where 95% of the time you're sharing content that people will actually interact with. Like, you're sharing how you solved clients' problems. You're sharing, I talked about it in my talk, like in Vancouver, we had this crazy blackout, right? And it was like the zombie apocalypse by the third day. Like, literally nobody knew how to drive.
Right.
I took pictures of it on Twitter, and my client posted a blog post about what to do in a blackout. Free, like no link at the bottom saying contact us, etc. And people actually hired them they had car accidents during the blackout, and they got like tons of work from it. So posting that sort of content, not promoting yourself, is a must. Now, I also think you should promote your wins, but more like pictures within the office, more like pictures of, like just like genuine, actual interactions with people. Obviously not like clients unless they want to be there. But I don't think you should be promoting yourself and everything all the time.
Well, does anybody really want to hear you say, I'm so great, I'm so great, I'm
Never.
so great, I'm so great?
Well, it's like you wouldn't walk up to a conference like this and walk up to your potential client and be like, hi, I'm amazing. Do you know how many files I have? Do you know how great I am? They're going to be like, okay, I'm going to walk away from you now and get some food and watch another thing.
So as somebody who does social media strategy, to me that sounds a little different from content.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that kind of rule out there, I think, and you tell me, because you're the expert on this, that if you're going to be on Twitter and you're going to be tweeting things out, it should be your voice and you doing it. Don't let some ghost writer or ghost tweeter out there doing it. But on the other hand, this is kind of your forte, right? Helping
Yes.
people find the right things to say. So do you step in and write things for people, or do you just lead them on the path and they do it themselves?
So initially, most lawyers will say they want me to do it for them. They'll say, can you do everything for me? And in the past, I would, but I find that the best way that they can do it, lawyers will always do better if they do it themselves. Like, honestly, even if lawyers don't hire me, they do it all on their own. If they have the time to do it, they absolutely should, because they do really, really well. And a lot of times what lawyers will do is they'll draft tweets and run them by me for that it looks okay. Like for tweets, they should actually be smaller than 140 characters. They should be like 120 so that people can actually retweet it and see all the content. So I help lawyers in that way, and I help them with the overall strategy. Like, how do you actually get work from social media? Because to me, that's the most important thing. Like, I would rather people not pay me unless they're making what they're paying me plus more. And a ton of social media people will just be like, it's about branding, quote unquote, or it's about networking. Well, networking is good, but they're not really about getting clients from it. And I find that you will get clients if you speak in your own, even if it's boring, in your own voice.
Well, there's the other part of social networking that isn't like just reaching out to grab a client, but it's branding who you are. And I guess the question is that the bigger piece of social media? I mean, do you really expect that when you put out a Facebook post, somebody's going to call you and say, yes, that post is exactly what I wanted? Or is it letting people know who you are and what you stand for that's more important part of that?
You're exactly right. It is who you are and who you stand for. I mean, you can't. It goes back to the whole, what are people going to connect with? And they're not going to connect with the whole ambulance chaser lawyer. They're going to connect with you as a person. And if you're not that person, they're not going to talk to you, because lawyers already have that sort of reputation. They're already kind of arm's length away. And social media bridges that gap, because we know lawyers can be intimidating, right? And by posting these sort of pictures or these sort of posts, they actually bridge that gap, so they feel like the person will feel like that lawyer is with them in their house or answering their questions. And it actually gives a two-way conversation. Someone can actually ask a question on their Facebook post and you can respond. And you should always respond. A lot of lawyers will wonder, should I respond to this comment? Should I do this? And those comments are like gold. And if you're not responding, you're not doing it right.
Now, there's a saying out there in marketing about know your tribe. Know who it is that's your audience. That's really got to be something that's critical for you to help identify who people's audience is, so you can target them in social media. I know that you're a fan of the Texas Law Hawk.
Oh, yeah.
That is a crazy man, and his commercials are outrageous. And I think they make most lawyers roll their eyes in the back of their head. But his client base, dare I say, his fan base is enormous, because he knows his tribe. How do you figure out with your clients who their tribe is, so you can target them?
So I look at who their current clients are, offline. Who do they usually talk to? Who is their target audience? And on social media, finding those people can be a bit tricky, but if you look at your competitors, right? Look at who they're following. Look at who they're talking to, and use that as a base. And you can also you'll also find naturally who comes to you. The more you're posting, the people that are interested in what you have to say will naturally follow you. And a question I got today was how to grow your audience, how to get more and more Twitter followers. But literally, it's not the number, it's the quality of the people. You don't want 100,000 Twitter followers that are robots. You actually want 20,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 that are actually interested in what you have to say.
So your presentation day was really a great presentation. You were talking about $1 million Facebook client, right? So let me ask, I guess this as we're wrapping up. What can lawyers realistically expect by using social media?
To get more work. I mean, absolutely. If they're using it correctly, if they're using it authentically, like we talked about, if they're finding their tribe, they're going to get more work, they're going to build relationships, they're going to have fun. Like if they actually get into it, they're going to have fun. And statistically speaking, 1 in 30 lawyers that learns about social media will actually run with it. I'm hoping that this conference and talking to you, that I'll inspire more than that. Like I want to change the statistics for it.
Turning on some light bulbs for the lawyers in this community. So one last question before we close out today, and I think this is an important one. If listeners would like to follow you, to reach out to you, where do they find you?
And they can follow me on Twitter at Sam Tara Collier, on Facebook at facebook.com, social media for law firms. If you just Google my name, Samantha Collier, you'll find me. I take up the first 3 or 4 pages of Google. There's a gynecologist that named Samantha Collier that hates me. So you can just search my name and you'll find me.
Well, we've reached the end of the road for today's episode. I want to thank Samantha for joining us today live from the Clio Cloud Conference in Chicago. And I want to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. If you liked what you heard today, please rate us in iTunes. I'm Patrick Pallas. We'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with the Legal Talk Network.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.